Hold on.
What?
Our day is not over just yet.
Woohoo! USA! USA!
We have an action-packed hour for you 6 p.m. drivers.
Would I rather be feared or loved? Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me.
Matt Skraby wraps up a full day of live and local sports talk.
And that is the whole problem with aliens. You just can't trust them. Occasionally you meet a nice one, but usually they turn out to be some kind of big lizard.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
He represents the potential winning run here in the ninth day. Sheets hammers it again. A walk-off against his old team. His second homer of the day. And for Sheets, his fifth in the last 4 days.
This young man is dialed in. Second homer of the game. This one in walk-off fashion.
And it wasn't just in walk-off fashion. Well, yes, it was, but it was launched. It was demolished. Gavin Sheets winning the game for the Padres today against the White Sox, hitting 2 home runs today, hitting 5 in the last 4 games, and he is making his best effort to get on this opening day roster. I'm Matt Skraby. This is the Skraby Show on 97.3 The Fan. Hopefully you have stuck around until this point because you will be rewarded for it. That's a really hard word for me to say, by the way. Rewarded. It's a nearly impossible, but it's a landmine of a word for me. So I'll try not to say rewarded anymore, but you will be rewarded because we're going to, I said I'm not going to say it and then I say it. We're going to talk about obviously what happened today in the spring training game. We're also going to talk about how the Petco Park ranks, or what Petco Park ranks against some of the other stadiums in baseball. Now, they do this every single year, and it's usually a USA Today list, and they do it every single year, but I always expect the Padres to be number one. It's just something that I know is going to happen. The sun sets in the west, rises in the east, and that's what we know happens. But it's not like that here. It's not like that here. And I just am not a big fan of this. So we'll go over the list of MLB stadium rankings. Also, top 10 MLB lineups for 2025. Anthony Castrovince put that together. So we'll talk about that as well. Plus, at the end of the show, I know that people like some of the random news that I bring up from time to time. And on a day like today, I think it's time for some random news. There was a ship that was sunk 132 years ago that was found recently. I'll tell you about that. Also, there is an infamous serial killer, I'll just say it, from the 1800s, and they think they may have finally caught this person. Jack the Ripper. They think they may have finally figured out who Jack the Ripper is. So I'll tell you about that. My daily gripe is all about idiot people. And we will get there when we get there. But Gavin Sheets definitely making me look bad earlier when I came on and I said, just because he's hit 4 home runs in the last 4 days doesn't mean he's already got a roster spot. And then he goes and hits a walk-off home run right after I said that, which it still doesn't guarantee him a roster spot, but it definitely helps get him on the roster. I mean, if you're looking at the lineup right now, who's the hottest hitting guy on the team? It's Gavin Sheets. Where will he be next week, though? I think if he continues this, there is no question in my mind that if he continues it, he's going to be on the roster. That is what's going to happen. You can't leave a guy off the roster if he's just tearing the cover off the ball. And as Tony said earlier, he's playing great left field. There's a lot to offer for Gavin Sheets. And Gavin Sheets is someone who came in without really a role, and he's trying to carve that out for himself, and he's doing a pretty good job. I mean, when you go and see this highlight, go to the Padres.com or Padres Twitter, because this home run was almost out of the ballpark, literally almost out of the ballpark. So he is making his best effort to get into the opening day roster. Also, I mean, some of the other position battles are still ongoing. And we heard Mike Schilt say a little bit earlier today that Jake Cronenworth probably is not going to play much first base this year, which was kind of a shock to me. Not so much to Tony. I guess maybe if you're out there and you're dealing with this every single day, then you are a little bit more informed on how things are going. But the Padres ended up, I don't think that Jake Cronenworth is going to get traded, which is another kind of rumor that I'm seeing around there. They're not talking about him. They're not committing to him. I don't think that Jake Cronenworth is going to be traded anytime soon. He as much as fans give him a hard time, he does a lot for the team. He plays multiple positions. He's a lefty hitter. He has some power. He can drive in runs. I think Jake Cronenworth is a little bit more important than people lead on. And I think that just because Mike Schilt didn't or just because Mike Schilt said he's not going to play much first base does not mean they're already looking to trade him. It's just not what I think when I hear Mike Schilt say that. Padres won 7-5 today. They did go behind early against the White Sox, but as I said, Gavin Sheets went 3 for 3, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs. Jackson Merrill hit another home run today. He went 1 for 2. And Jackson Merrill, I am quickly realizing that I don't need to worry about Jackson Merrill at all. Yes, again, I have to say it. It's spring training, but Jackson Merrill has been doing Jackson Merrill things throughout spring training. He has hit 3 home runs, which is second on the team to Gavin Sheets, but mostly Jackson Merrill still getting hits. Here in the month of March, he's played in 6 games. He's only, he's got hits in 4 of those 6 games and 3 home runs in the month of March. One of the questions that I had coming into the year was, how much of last year's Jackson Merrill are we going to see this year? Are we going to see a 292 hitter with an 826 OPS with 24 home runs, 90 RBIs, and 16 stolen bases? Are we going to see that? I had questions because he outperformed himself so much in last year with what people actually expected him. No one expected him to hit 24 home runs last year. No one expected that, mainly because he's still a really young player. He's still obviously trying to find his footing in the league. He's still putting on muscle, all that stuff. But he hit 24 home runs, and his OPS, I think, was even higher than people thought too, at 826. And if I'm to read anything into spring training, but not read anything into spring training, I'm going to say that Jackson Merrill's picking up right where he left off. Like right where he left off. He's literally hitting his same batting average as last year, 292 so far in spring training. So if there's any questions from anybody out there, I think that he's answering it. He's up to the challenge. And the people that I have talked to about Jackson Merrill at spring training, not just Sam, not just Tony, other people, they're saying that they're seeing the Jackson Merrill, the professional baseball player. He came ready to go. He took the off season, he took a little bit of time off, but he did a lot of work as well. And everybody that I talked to says Jackson Merrill is in great shape. And that is that's something that you can't teach. Like Chris was talking about with Magoon Guath. You can't teach long arms. I didn't know that until Chris told me. Yes, I'm being sarcastic. But the whole Jackson Merrill, you can't teach his work ethic. You can't teach his way of looking at things. Like when they asked him earlier in the year, or earlier in spring training, saying like, what is your goal for spring training? And he said, hey, my goal is just to make the team. That's my mindset. And I believe him. And if that's his mindset, I'm all for it. Like, that's a great mindset to have. I just don't believe that Jackson Merrill is a guy who is going to take it easy after finding success his first year in Major League Baseball. Omar says, Merrill sees the word sophomore slump and laughs hard. Yes, he does. I hope I hope that's the case. Last year, there was not many slumps for Jackson Merrill. Last year, he just, I still can't believe that he didn't win Rookie of the Year with the season that he had last year. All of those important home runs, all of those moments last year where Jackson Merrill brought the Padres and put him on his back and was able to win games, tie games, help the Padres win games. I mean, if you want a guy who can take a team on his back, you want someone who shows that they can do it early on in their career. It's amazing to me that there still is a mindset like that out there, because it's very easy to get caught up in everything that's going on around life. And it's very easy to get caught up in, Jackson Merrill burst onto the scene last year, lots of popularity, lots of interview requests, lots of people recognizing him on the street, which I think it was, Padres put out a video of certain questions that he answered. And one of the questions was, what would you do if you saw someone in a grocery store with your Jackson Merrill t-shirt on? And he said, I wouldn't bother them, but he goes, I guess if they're wearing my t-shirt, they're probably going to know who I am. But that's just the type of guy he is. He's just a normal dude that can play baseball at a really high level. I thought that was funny, though, that he said he would turn the other way. But Jackson Merrill is someone I'm glad, over the years we talked about, why did they keep Jackson Merrill here in San Diego in their system? Why didn't they put him in any trade packages? Well, here you go. This is exactly why they never moved Jackson Merrill. He was a first-round pick in 2021, 27th overall, and he's never looked back. I mean, we talked about Jackson Merrill, the shortstop, for a long time. That's another thing I didn't even bring up here in my Jackson Merrill praise in the first segment of the Skraby Show, is that he learned an entirely new position last year. An entirely new position. And not just a new position, one of the most important positions on the field. One of the positions that has to cover the most ground on the field. And he learned as he went, and he figured it out, and he made it happen. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how impressive Jackson Merrill has been to start his career. It's everything that the Padres asked for and more. And I think he's going to continue to do that as well throughout the season. He's just going to keep getting better. That's just what Jackson Merrill is. I think Dominic said it on the chat earlier. He said, what did Dominic say on the chat? He said it about Jackson Merrill. Oh, Jackson cares about few things other than baseball. He is going to be a superstar. I am with you. I think he's going to be a superstar too. Oscar also said, oh no, it wasn't Oscar. I had someone right here, or I had a comment. Maybe someone deleted it. I'm not sure what. Oh, Junior said, let's not forget how the fake Rookie of the Year, Paul Skeens, somehow avoided facing Jackson last year. I do remember that. I made a big deal about that, actually, because Paul Skeens was scared. I know no one says scared anymore, but I was listening to Nelly over the weekend, put on my Spotify shuffle from my high school days, and Nelly came up, but it seemed like Paul Skeens didn't want to face Jackson Merrill. That would have been amazing if Jackson Merrill faced Paul Skeens and took him deep. There was like a week where the Padres played the Pirates last year. They played them in Pittsburgh first, and then the Pirates came to San Diego. Somehow, both times, Jackson Merrill did not face Paul Skeens. I know Paul Skeens didn't face the Padres, period, but it's very curious. KG says, because it was a big deal, Skraby, Merrill was absolutely robbed. I'm with you. I sat here and just went crazy for weeks, if not months, about how Jackson Merrill is the Rookie of the Year. So when you all out there think, hey, he actually was the Rookie of the Year, I'm with you. 150,000%. All right, I'm Matt Skraby. This is the Skraby Show here on 97.3 The Fan. You can watch on YouTube. Just search The Skraby Show, or you can search for 97.3 The Fan. You can also go to Twitter at Matt Skraby, MattsKraby, as in boy, Y. When we get back, I will reveal to everyone out there what Petco Park ranked in the USA Today MLB Stadium rank list. Actually, there's only 28 stadiums ranked because 2 teams are playing in AAA parks. So I'll tell you where they rank, and I'll get your thoughts on everything. So stick with me. Stadium talk, lineup talk, and then all those random news stories at the end of the show on 97.3 The Fan. There's Roadrunner. Meet me. He doesn't like me. I guess I wouldn't like me either if I was chasing me. As you can see, I'm all Aztec'd out here at the Aztec Baseball Tournament. It's the SDSU Baseball Alumni Tournament. Right now, we are 1 under in the scramble. And Chris is playing well, Tony's playing well. But our ringer, Jack Townsend, is playing really well. So Chris says I can't play golf, but this is the second birdie putt he's made for us. This time it was like 20 feet.
Thank you very much, Scrape. But once again, you're hitting some very nice shots as well. I'm not usually complimentary to you, but I can't help but be complimentary. Your shot making today.
With my what?
Your shot making. You've hit some.
We are league 10 now, and it's getting really windy. It's actually kind of cold. I'm not gonna lie, I know we're in San Diego, but we're 3 under as a group. We just got off the birdie, and I just hit my defense. There's a squirrel, but he wants to attack me. Squirrely! We just got our second birdie of the day thanks to this guy.
Yeah, a 4-footer after.
It was a 5-footer.
After our pro drove it 300 to the front of the green and then chipped it within 5 feet.
Uh-oh.
Gravy, don't feed the animals.
Don't feed the animals. I do feed animals, but Chris made a birdie putt. Leaving the golf course. And we ended up shooting 63 once everything was accounted for, since it was a scramble and we had an SDSU golf player, Jack Townsend. He was with us and he did a lot for us. I think we shot 63 because of him, but we all had a good time. There's Roadrunner. Meet me. He doesn't like me. I guess I wouldn't like me either if I was chasing me. As you can see, I'm all Aztec'd out here at the Aztec Baseball Tournament. It's the SDSU Baseball Alumni Tournament. Right now, we are 1 under in the scramble. And Chris is playing well, Tony's playing well. But our ringer, Jack Townsend, is playing really well. So Chris says I can't play golf, but this is the second birdie putt he's made for us. This time it was like 20 feet.
Thank you very much, Scrape. But once again, you're hitting some very nice shots as well. I'm not usually complimentary to you, but I can't help but be complimentary. Your shot making today.
With my what?
Your shot making. You've hit some.
We are league 10 now, and it's getting really windy. It's actually kind of cold. I'm not gonna lie, I know we're in San Diego, but we're 3 under as a group. We just got off the birdie, and I just hit my defense. squirrel. Buddy wants to attack me. Squirrely! Ah. We just got our second birdie of the day thanks to this guy.
Yeah, a 4-footer after
It was a 5-footer.
after our pro drove it 300 to the front of the green and then chipped it within 5 feet.
Uh-oh.
Gravy, don't feed the animals.
Don't feed the animals. I do feed animals, but Chris made a birdie putt. Leaving the golf course. And I'm going to get to the stadium thing in just a second because I'm reading through it again. And I'm like, really? That stadium you think is better? I've been to a decent amount of stadiums. Not all of them, obviously. I've been to the top 3 so far, but we'll get to that in just a second. I just have to say, today has been extremely stressful, and for a couple reasons. Number one, this might be the most disjointed Gwen and Chris's show is all year because Chris is with the Aztecs women's team, and so Tony was doing the game, and then he leaves, and then Tony shows up. It's a lot sometimes. It's a lot sometimes. So that's been a little bit stressful. Also, I had this appointment with my car this morning, and I've been putting it off for a really long time. And so I had to go to the dealership, and I had to go deal with the dealership people. And I got to say, it was a really, really pleasant experience. The Volkswagen dealership in Encinitas, I'll give you a shout out because the guy that I work with all the time, Ricardo, he's amazing. He is always patient. He is always answering my questions, even if I'm asking stupid questions, not about shin guards, but about my car. And so I was really dreading today, thinking that was going to take forever. And I ended up getting my car back just in the nick of time to drive down here and record with Chris. But it's been a day, let me tell you. And it all started with, my dog Lucky waking me up super early, and then him kind of not realizing that he can't fit underneath my desk anymore, because when he was a puppy, he used to go underneath the desk and underneath my feet until I would move enough to, I would move enough so that he would get up and go for it. He waits for my walk, or for me to get up to take him for a walk. And so when he was 30 pounds, it was fine. Now he's like 80 to 90 pounds, and it's a lot. It's a lot, but I love him, and it's just been really, really stressful day, but I'm almost there, and everybody is making me get through it. So I appreciate all of you. If you want to watch the show, you can just go to YouTube, search the Skraby Show or 97.3 The Fan. And you could also watch on Twitter at Matt Skraby if you would like. I think it's funny. I had this conversation over the weekend. Twitter, Elon Musk should go back to Twitter because it's the best. Apparently, it's the best branded social media platform ever because no one wants to call it X. Everybody wants to call it Twitter. I mean, I know that there was some, I guess he wanted to make it his own, but it's never going to be X. People are not going to call it X at all. They're going to call it Twitter. Diesel says, Volkswagen, are you getting the electric Shagwagon? No, I am not getting the electric. Although, when I bought my car, I looked at one of those ID4s that VW has, and that looks pretty cool outside my price range, but I was a fan of the ID4. So if you have an ID4, good for you, because that's seems like a very nice car. Update on the Aztecs women's schedule, or a game right now against UNLV. See, I'm just using all these different words that don't make sense. But right now, San Diego State is, I don't want to go too far. I'm going to knock on wood. San Diego State is crushing UNLV, the women, 50-36. So it's the fourth quarter, 9:07 left in the game. I'm going to keep watching this. Hopefully they can hold on, but that is some really good stuff. Now, UNLV is shooting atrociously Like really, really, really bad. UNLV is 11 for 46 from the floor. They're shooting threes 4 for 20. UNLV also has more free throws, but 4 for 20 from three, 11 for 46 from field goal. And it's a field goal percent of 24%. So UNLV is dominant. Like, I don't know if people really understand how big of a deal this would be if they beat them, because UNLV has just been dominating the Mountain West Women's Conference for a while now. I think the stat was earlier that UNLV is 61-3 against Mountain West Conference opponents in the last few years. And the Aztecs are actually a team that has one of those 3 losses that they handed to UNLV. So this will be a really, really good win for the Aztecs women. Also means that Chris is going to be staying in Las Vegas for a little bit longer, but 52-38, 8:22 left to go in that one. Now, here's the conversation about the stadiums ranking. And USA Today put this out. I am very unhappy with where Petco Park is ranked in this whole thing. So I'm going to go from 1 until we get to Petco Park. But the number 1 stadium, according to USA Today, baseball stadium, according to USA Today, PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Now, don't you think for a second that my brain didn't think, oh, they picked it because of Paul Skeens. Now, I know they're probably not picking stadiums because of Paul Skeens, but I have been to PNC Park before, and it actually is a really, really nice park. However, the team is always garbage. I think you have to put a good team in there if you want a park to be even better. I mean, like I said, I've been there. The views are amazing, but the team is garbage. It's not a bad stadium. It's not number 1, though. And number 2, here's the number 2 one. And I've been here many, many, many a times. Oracle Park in San Francisco. I don't think this is a number 2 stadium. Number 2 stadium. Number 1, it's freezing all the time at Oracle Park. Sure, when you get a good day, it's great. It's awesome. You can see all the way across the bay. But when it's cold and it's like July 19th and it's 52 degrees and the wind is swirling in Oracle Park and everybody's wearing snow gear, it's not that great of a place. It's just freezing. I remember going to, when I was in college, it was a game in August against the Padres. I'm not sure what year it was, but the Padres ended up winning that game 1-0. And all I can remember is my group of friends and I were just so cold the entire time in August. I will never forget how cold I was that night. But anyway, Oracle Park, number 2, I don't think it's number 2. The weather is just not good enough. Now, number 3, I went to last summer, Wrigley Field for the Cubs. I got to say, Wrigley was very cool. And I have no complaints about Wrigley. The only thing I really can complain about with Wrigley is that it's tiny, but that makes sense because it was built in 1914 or opened in 1914. The walkways are very small. There's not much room to maneuver. The seats that I sat in were nice. They had just remodeled that part of the park. And Wrigley Field is a great place to play baseball. I can't argue with Wrigley Field. Don't think it's better than Petco, though. But because during the summer, it is hot in Chicago and humid. I don't think they're taking weather into account because there's so many different places around the country that play in really hot and humid climates. But Wrigley Field, number 3. Number 4. I'm still going, people. I'm still looking for Petco Park, everyone. This one I've never been to. Our guy Dominic on the chat can tell me. Oracle Park at Camden Yards. That's the number 4. Now, I do think it is really cool that it's built into that building in the right field, and it's got a good skyline behind it. I've never been here, so I don't really know. But if Dominic is on the chat and wants to say something about it, let me know. I don't have an opinion, but I don't think it's number 4. And it's very strange to me that it was built in 1992. I thought it was something that was built way back when with the building and the stadium built into the building. But there you go, number 4. Dominic did weigh in, our Baltimorean. He said Opaki, which is I guess what they call it, Orioles Park at Camden Yards, is awesome, but better than Petco? No way. So Oriole Park was number 4. Fenway Park, number 5. I've been to Fenway as well. Fenway Park is another one of those old stadiums. It's like Wrigley, where it's tiny. And I really, really felt how tiny Fenway Park was when I got into my seat, because it was literally not wide enough for me to sit down. I had to like sardine myself in there. And there are some seats behind poles, but for the history and for the atmosphere, Fenway Park is an awesome place to go see a game. I sat in right field. I've been to Fenway 3 times. I sat in right field once, and I got to do the Sweet Caroline thing with all the Bostonians, which was really fun. And I was also a drinker back then, so I was having a really good time. And then one of the things that I think Fenway just is one of the most amazing things in sports to me. I loved the Green Monster growing up. I thought the Green Monster was amazing growing up. I thought it was hilarious that they just had this huge wall in left field. But when you go see the Green Monster, I was slightly disappointed with how small the Green Monster actually is. Now, I know it's not really that small, but as a kid, I thought it was gigantic. But it's not. In Fenway Park itself is not that big of a park, but it is. When you walk around, you feel the history of the place. You feel baseball. It's just baseball. That's all I can really say about it. It's baseball. As Diesel said, the Bob Hawk. That was a bad Bostonian accent. Reckoner says, my mom is from Boston. We took a tour there when I was a kid. I was maybe 6 or 7. And you probably got to go into the Green Monster and go into like the scoreboard area. Nate says the smell of Fenway hits. It does. It does. Although one of the games I went to, I'm just rambling about stadiums at this point. One of the games that I went to at Fenway, everything was fine. No rain, nothing in the sky. And then I've never seen it rain so hard so quick before. And they called the game, and so I didn't get a refund and all that stuff. Fenway, number 5. Still looking for Petco Park, everybody. All right, I found it. Number 6 is what Petco Park is ranked. And yes, I'm biased. Yes, I am going to be a homer for the Padres when it comes to national media stuff. Petco Park is not number 6. It's routinely called by everyone the best stadium in baseball, routinely. And the Padres have done a great job with game day entertainment. The Padres have done a great job with right field. The Padres have done a great job with Gallagher Square. The Padres have done a great job with Petco Park in general. But number 6, I can't see it. I can't see it. I can't see it being better than Oriole Park. Or let me just do the ones I've been to. PNC Park has views, great views. Terrible team. So I can't see Petco Park being better than PNC Park. Oracle Park, like I said, way too cold. Wrigley, it's hard to argue with history. Oriole Park, not gonna bite that one. Fenway, again, it's hard to argue with history. But Petco Park, number 6 on the list. It's just disappointing. I don't know what happened to make it fall. I didn't see any explanations for anything, but one thing that the Padres did better than the Dodgers this year is they bested the Dodgers by 1 spot in this list. Dodger Stadium is number 7. Been to Dodger Stadium, kind of cool, but the parking lot is atrocious. It takes forever to get out of there. So there you go. Those are the stadiums ranked by USA Today. If you want to see the full list, you can go to USA Today in the sports page because they have that. When we get back, the Padres, do they have a top 10 lineup in baseball heading into opening day? Also, did they find Jack the Ripper? We'll talk about all of that on the Skraby Show next on 97.3 The Fan. right, I'm officially angry at the 49ers. Trying not to talk too much about them today, but they are a huge part of sports news right now. Not for great reasons at all. As you may have heard throughout the show, I've been complaining about the 49ers completely gutting their team. When people told me that the window was closing, I didn't think that the window was already closed, which does seem like it is going to be tough for the 49ers to compete for a Super Bowl here in the next year or so. But man, oh man, are the 49ers are they in trouble? It's sad. It's sad. They've lost so many guys, and they signed another guy too, and a wide receiver by the name of Demarcus Robinson. Now, he was on the Rams last year, and I kept thinking, why do I know that name? Well, he caught a big touchdown at some point through the year. Why do I know? Oh, I know why. He got a DUI during the season last year, and he was driving over 100 miles an hour. And so immediately everything started came flooding back to me. And I know that people are not bad people because they make bad decisions. I've made plenty of terrible decisions in my life, and it doesn't make me a bad person. But when you're driving over 100 and you're drunk, I don't know what it will take for these teams to think twice about signing these guys. And he may be really apologetic. He may feel really stupid for what he did and ashamed and all that stuff. But I was just reading some stuff on this DUI, and Demarcus Robinson hasn't been suspended by the league yet for this, which could happen. And so as I'm reading through this article about Demarcus Robinson, the Rams GM said last Wednesday, so 6 days ago, that Robinson has some things to work through legally this offseason, which could, quote, prevent playtime in the future. So even though he wasn't suspended in 2024, the NFL could still suspend him in 2025. I don't know what the 49ers are doing. This doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not a fan of this. I gotta wait until the season and see where their roster's at, but this has been maybe the worst 48 hours for me as a 49er fan since they fired Jim Harbaugh and they hired Chip Kelly. My goodness. It's just, come on, John Lynch. I really trust you. I really believe in you, John Lynch. Demarcus Robinson doesn't seem to be the guy. He doesn't. All right. Top 10 lineups heading into opening day. MLB.com put this up, and it's from Anthony Castrovins, very respected writer for MLB. And he listed the top 10, as I said. Number 1, Dodgers. Don't need to go over that. Number 2, Mets. Don't need to go over that. Number 3, Braves. It's pretty good. Number 4 is going to be the Phillies. Number 5 is going to be the Red Sox. And then 6, Orioles. 7, Yankees. 8, Diamondbacks. And then the Padres cracked the list at number 9. They're saying that the Padres deserve to be on this list after a fairly underwhelming offseason, but Jose Iglesias signed with the team, and they're saying that's a really underrated signing. They also said Connor Joe was an underrated signing, but here's how Anthony Castrovins has the Padres lineup on opening day. Leading off, Luis Ariz, DHing. Batting second, Fernando, right field. Manny Machado batting third base. Jackson Merrill cleaning up in center field. Xander Bogaerts batting fifth, shortstop. Jake Cronenworth playing first. This article came out before Mike Schilt said he wasn't going to play a lot of first. Batting sixth. And then Anthony Castrovins has Jose Iglesias on the team on the opening day roster at second base, batting seventh. Jason Hayward batting eighth. And Elias Diaz batting ninth. So at least they made the top 10. The 10th team is the Rangers. these are the things that I need to remember when I'm thinking about the Padres and the roster and all that stuff. I think we need to remember that this team is still good. This team still has great players on it. And this is it's just a list, but it's also an indication that people believe in the Padres and what they have right now. So 9th best lineup in baseball, I would take it. Xander Bogaerts has to have a massive year. Just has to have a massive year. I believe that he could still do it. I do. But I am not sure what we're going to get. I think Xander Bogaerts is extremely motivated, I would believe, after the last couple years, been hurt, all that stuff. But the core is there. You need the core, and you fill out on the outside. So that was a little bit of good news for Padres fans. And Gavin Sheets hitting 2 home runs today, 5 home runs in the last 4 games. He's making a case for the roster. These battles are going to start heating up even more. Back to the NFL. Because the NFL... Oh, Joey Bosa. There we go. Joey Bosa was, I guess, rumored to go to the 49ers, but it didn't happen. He signed a 1-year, $12.6 million deal with the Buffalo Bills. So he's not going to be a 49er, which kind of makes me happy, but he's going to be with the Buffalo Bills. I guess the 49ers are kind of in the same, they're in the same way, like kind of like the Padres. You see all these guys going off the board during the offseason, and you're like, for $12 million, I guess $12 million in football money is a lot, but you're like, oh man, they couldn't afford that guy for a 1-year deal. What's going on? But as we know, maybe I should take my own advice. The Padres actually ended up with a pretty darn good roster. So I should take that and really run with it because I'm not feeling too good about my team. David says, so I'm a 49ers fan, but I feel other than Dre Greenlaw, I'm okay with it. Scroop has had 5 years to get it done, and we couldn't. A teardown was coming in a couple of years. I get it. I know what they're doing. They're trying to reset everything. But I'm a 49er fan, and we expect the Super Bowl or at least the playoffs. 49ers do have a bunch of draft picks. I think they've gotten rid of the Trey Lance debacle. That's another debacle of the Kyle Shanahan era. Trey Lancing everywhere. All right, we got the Daily Gripe, and we got these random stories. So I find shipwrecks to be really creepy, and I find shipwrecks to be extremely scary. When people tell me that they, like, when I see videos or people said that they have gone and like scuba dived in a sunken ship before, nah, not doing it. I do not want to be caught in that ship. Something's going to happen. A ghost or a shark or something's going to get me. So the underwater video of this ship is creeping me out. This is on the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. And this all steel ship, I didn't even know. You know, it's pretty amazing. 132 years ago, they were making steel ships that can float. That is insane. But 132 years ago, this steel ship, the Western Reserve, sank in 1892, and it sank and no one knew where it was, which is kind of crazy because of where it's at. It's in Lake Superior. So it's a big, huge, massive lake. Don't get me wrong. It's not like small. But it took them 132 years to find this ship? Like, what? It's 600 feet below the surface, and it's been there for 132 years, but it has been, I guess, after it sank, people tried to look for it. It was never found. They just could not wrap their minds around the fact that they could not find this ship, but they finally found it last year, and they are trying. They say they're trying to make some sort of memorial for it or something, but I say stay away. I say stay away from this ship. It's been sitting there for 132 years. Why don't you just leave it alone? but they finally found it. They used some sonar. It's broken in half on the bottom of Lake Superior. They found the bell. They found some of the deck, and it creeps me out. But the main reason I brought this story up is because it's in a lake, and they couldn't find it for 132 years. I don't understand this whatsoever. It's very strange to me. So if you want to learn more about that, just Google Western Reserve. All right. My favorite story of the day, actually, before the Daily Gripe. We're coming up on the Daily Gripe. But you guys all know I like the creepy stuff out there. And I like to learn about serial killers. So yes, I just said that on the radio. I probably shouldn't have. But Jack the Ripper, if you're a person who likes this stuff, Jack the Ripper is someone who you know about. And you actually have probably heard about many, many, many times. But Jack the Ripper has never been identified. They think they may have identified him. Per CBS News, they were trying to find this guy, the Jack the Ripper, but they actually had small... They had kept these things from way back when. It was small pieces of clothing that was blood and other bodily fluids. Well, they tested it, and then they went to that whole genealogy thing where they reverse genealogy and they can find you that way through your DNA. Well, they found the great-great-great-granddaughter of this guy, and Karen Miller. She is a descendant of Kosminski, which is his name, Kosminski. And they have claimed that Kosminski is the Jack the Ripper killer. On the testing, the first result showed a 99.2% match. Since the DNA has two complementary strands, we went on and tested the other DNA strand, which gave us a perfect 100% match. Now, no one from
What's annoying
that was not
Skraby
what I wanted to
today?
do right there. They're not saying that they've actually found it, but you know what? I'm going to say they found it if they have 100% of the DNA. Dominic, really funny. Are they bringing him in for questioning? Ha ha ha. That is funny. Juan Cabrillo is on the chat. Hey, Juan, go find those people at Lake Superior. Go find that ship. Your ship is actually wood. So I don't know where I was going to go with that. Daily Gripe, I'm going to have to save till tomorrow, but it has to do with a Disney ride at Disney World, and a man jumped out of his log and made everybody sit there for about 40 minutes. I mean, you could already guess the Daily Gripe, but that's what we'll be talking about tomorrow. Thank you to everybody who was here today. Thank you to everybody who bared with us, and thank you very much to everybody for making every day very fun. I'll be back tomorrow. Oh, let's check. Hold on. Before we go, let's check the Aztecs women's. I got to stop this real quick because we got to, before we go. Oh, wow. Aztecs women's 66-56 over UNLV. 48 seconds left in the game. So it looks like they're going to win. And it looks like Chris is staying in Vegas one more day. So that's some good news. Talk to you all tomorrow.
Baseball is back, San Diego. The sun's out. Petco Park is rocking, and the Padres are ready to make some noise. I've got all the takes, all the analysis, and, of course, all the vibes. Join me, Braden Suprenant, every weekday from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
The New York Yankees could be in trouble. I'm Sammy Peete, here to help you beat the book.